are live on Facebook too. Let me just get my act together. All right, hey, Tamara Gondor here, president of the innovation firm Launch Street and the creator of the IQE, the author of the Innovation is Everybody's Business book. I'm coming to you on something new that I'm going live on called 7 in 7. So that's like 7 tips, 7 reasons, 7 whys in 7-ish minutes, maybe a little under, maybe a little over. Today's is 7 reasons why innovation matters now more than ever. I think we all kind of know that intellectually, don't we? But sometimes we have a hard time convincing others how important innovation is. So I want to give you 7 reasons why innovation matters, not just to make you go, yes, oh yeah, that makes sense. Innovation does matter. But also because it gives you the fodder to go to other people and say, hey, this is why innovation matters. This is why we need to shift our thinking. This is why we need to come up with new solutions. I think oftentimes in times of uncertainty, like we're in now, when there's new paths that we need to create, they're not even there yet. People have a hard time wrapping their heads around it and kind of putting a foundation around innovation and why it's so important. Now, for all you everyday innovators out there who are in the tribe, in our membership platform, you are going to get not only this video, which is also in the public, but also I've got a super hot PDF for you. It's a bonus. The reason for this is the best one-pager you will ever have to convince others. And oh my gosh, can you see? Oh, I got to get in front of me. Can you see how beautiful it is? Oh my God, it's gorgeous. Okay, let me talk about the 7 reasons why innovation matters now more than ever. Number 1, innovation is survival. You know, we used to talk a big game about disrupt or be disrupted, irrelevant, like, hit the cliff, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was always true. Innovation has always been important, but oftentimes it seemed like a nice to have because let's face it, the one of the things we did have was time on our hands. We do not have time anymore. Now what we have is a sense of urgency. In 2020 and beyond, innovation is the foundation for survival. And what I'm finding, and I'm sure you're seeing out there, is that those that are stuck in kind of, let's just do business as usual, like let's just hunker down and get it done, do what we've always done, just more of it, or are kind of in that waiting mode for normal to come back. Let me just tell you, there's no normal coming back. We've got to define what the future looks like. So those that are either stuck in the past or waiting for something to return, those are the ones that are going to become irrelevant. It's the ones that recognize that innovation is survival. You're the ones that are going to thrive. I'm just pulling up this PDF because it's so good. I got to reference it. So that's number 1, innovation is survival. The second reason out of the 7 is that new challenges have emerged. We're facing challenges that we didn't face 6 months ago, definitely not a year ago, definitely not a couple years ago. I think you know this. If you look at the things that you're struggling with, it's not the same. It's different. It's new. Well, you can't use yesterday's thinking and yesterday's solutions to solve new challenges. What you got to do is get to some different thinking, different ideas to get to solutions for these new challenges that we're facing. That is innovation, right? Thinking differently about what's right in front of you to create a competitive advantage. That's how we define it at Launch Street. That's how our everyday innovator tribe, all our members, that's how they define it. Thinking differently. That's what we've got to do. Those challenges, they are not going to be solved with old solutions. I bet, in fact, I've had these conversations with people where they have come to me with challenges that they're now facing and said, so we're thinking about the solution we used 5 years ago. I'll give you an example. I have a colleague that works at a very large healthcare system. It's all over the country. And they're now working virtually and they've got to kind of dial up technology fast. They need to figure out how to connect people and keep the workflow going in this new world that we're in. And her leader came to her and said, so what we're going to do is what worked a year ago when we were doing our workshops, some meetings in a virtual world, right? They had some meetings they were doing. Just think about that for a second. I know you're laughing a little bit because it's such a disconnect, but we've got new challenges and we need innovation and new thinking to solve them. Yesterday's will not cut it. All right. The third reason why innovation matters now more than ever is different opportunities emerge. with new landscape comes new gems of possibilities. But here's the thing. Most of us are missing them because we're looking through an old lens. We're looking through yesterday's lens. What we need to do is put on that lens of innovation so that we can see the opportunities that are hiding in plain sight. Because you know what? They look a little bit different. They look new, and they are, but they're so exciting and take you to paths of incredible success. All right, the fourth one is you got to jump the curve or fall off the cliff. Here's the deal. This is the tough love part, okay? We all have a life cycle. Businesses have a life cycle, and our personal relevance, the jobs that we do, the skills we have, that all has a life cycle. What happens is we go up this life cycle, we hit this curve, and then we hit a cliff. What we need to do to be successful in a rapidly changing world is we need to jump the curve. I know if you're in my community, you've heard me talking about jump the curve over and over again. It's so essential. And those of you who have done it have gotten incredible results from it, right? That is not about improving the curve that you're on. It's about jumping that curve to find a new curve, a new path, instead of hitting that cliff and fighting it on the way down. All right, next one is there's a demand for innovation. Your team, your leaders, your customers, your partners, the marketplace that you play in demands innovation from you. It is no longer okay to be an order taker. It is no longer okay to just do your job as the bullet point on your job description describes. What people need from us is innovation and leadership. They need you to step up and lead and show them the opportunities, show them the innovation and the ideas. There's a huge demand for innovation right now. And here's the great part. You can be the person to fill it. Your team can be the people to fill it. Your company can fill it. But you got to get on board, because right now, and I'm sure you're experiencing this with your customers and your clients and your leaders, when you have these conversations, they're not looking for incremental. They're looking for innovation. And if you're not giving it to them, I'll tell you what, they are rolling their eyes and looking for other people and other resources to fill that need for them. Even if they're not articulating it, I promise you that's what they're looking for. Okay, the sixth one is new worlds require new skills. I think you've heard this over and again. In fact, there's been studies about this, that the most in-demand skill for the workforce at any level is creative problem solving, strategic thinking. Basically, it's innovation. In the world that we're in, we need to adapt and we need to change. We need to innovate. That's the skill that we all need to strengthen. And here's the interesting thing about the mind. So it is not, the brain is not technically a muscle, but it works like one. Works like a bicep. This is a universal sign for bicep, right? Like a bicep curl. But the brain actually works like one in this way. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So you need to strengthen those innovation skills, that ability to adapt and think differently and problem solve and be strategic, because those are the skills that you need to thrive. Your job title, your experience, your even track record is not as relevant as it used to be. You got to shift and make sure that innovation is super strong inside you and the team that you lead. All right, the seventh one is, and of course I'm going to end on this one, is you define the future. The frustrating part is that the world is uncertain. The exciting part is that when the world is uncertain, you get to decide what the paths you take look like. You get to decide what the next steps are. You get to think broader and differently about how to move forward. This requires a lens of innovation. When you have a lens of innovation, it's very clear what to do next. It's energizing. And to my points earlier about demand for innovation, it's more meaningful. What you do drives up your value, your contribution, and it meets that demand from everybody that's all around you. All right, 7 and 7. Let me just recap for you. Number 1, innovation is survival. Number 2, new challenges have emerged. Number 3, different opportunities emerge. Number 4, jump the curve or fall off the cliff. Number 5, demand for innovation. Meet it. Number 6, new world requires new skills. Number 7, you define the future. Now, like I said, for members, because I know some of you out there, you're watching this, this is coming to you on our member platform. And let me just kind of clarify why that is, because I think it's so important. It's like, oh, tomorrow, that's just a PDF. It is so much more than a PDF. And here's why. We've got to convince others of the same thing. When there's a lot of change, there's a lot of resistance and a lot of fogginess in people. And while all of this is true, people often have a hard time wrapping their heads around it. And you may even see it in the people that you lead. You may even see it in yourself of like, but why? This gives people an anchor, something to hold on to say, yes, you know what? We have new challenges. We're going to think differently about them. Let's identify those. Or, yeah, there are some new opportunities out there. Let's figure out what those are and how we want to tackle them. And hey, you know what? Our clients do require innovation. Let's figure out how to meet that need for them in a way that's super meaningful. Having that 7 reasons why innovation matters now more than ever will give you, this one little page will give you the backing you need for yourself and for your team to say, yep, it's time to innovate. Now, obviously in the Everyday Innovators Tribe, we're also going to dig in with our Innovation Jam sessions and tackle a lot of this so that you have not just the reasoning why and the tools how, but the nuggets of ideas to move forward and to accelerate that success, to solve those challenges and to create those breakthrough ideas that you need right now. All right, it's probably obvious, but we're going through our founders launch right now. This is the only time we're going to do this. This is the only time we have a lifetime membership available. It is only for people who get in this week. I hope you'll take advantage because things like this and a lot more are waiting for you on the Everyday Innovators Tribe. All right, that was 7 and 7-ish. I'm actually not sure how long I went, so we'll have to see afterwards if I stuck to my time frame. I've got another one coming to you tomorrow about the 5 stages, the 5 innovation framework stages, and 2 bonus thoughts, of course. I will see you then.